All right, thanks everybody for coming. It's great to see all these people. I've met most of you in person. Some of you I haven't yet. I look forward to meeting you at our next event. I'm Chris Cunningham. I've been selling real estate for 20 years. I started in 2004. I had a teaching degree in physical education and health and couldn't get a job in Maine being a phys ed teacher. So I taught geometry, I taught special ed, I coached wrestling, football, and I got into real estate the summer of 2004. Well, the spring I got licensed in 2002. And I've been licensed ever since. And I teamed up with Brett Davis on his team. Brett's on here in 2004. And we've been selling real estate together since that time. We opened a company in 2006, Brett Davis Real Estate, and had an independent brokerage till 2020. And we've been with EXP now for over 2 years. And it's been awesome. We still have our own brand. We still have our own location. But now we have all the flexibility and all the technology that EXP offers us. We also have more ways to grow through revenue share, stocks, and we get to collaborate and team up with you. So it's been great to get to know all of you, and I've learned so much from people at EXP in different markets, top agents from around the country that I never would have known just being in our little bubble here in Maine. So it's good to have you guys as part of the team too. So I just wanted to start out with that. If you feel like you're alone, you always can come to our team, and in EXP, we've always got all kinds of support. So use our experiences in our classes to share with your clients to say, hey, one of my team members experienced this, right? Because I'm your team member. So what I share with you today, use it. Just say one of my team members, experienced this. All right, so we're going to talk about listing presentations today. Listings is the name of the game. When you first break in the market, you're going to do a lot of buyer representation, and that's good. That's great. Pays the bills. But once you start getting listings, then you're going to start to get more leads, more buyers, more sellers. So your sign is your best advertising. So when you're preparing for a listing, you get a call to go on a listing, you want to make sure you're prepared. You only get one shot at it. So you're likely going to be in competition. So the first thing you're going to want to do is prepare a listing folder, something that you're going to bring to the property and you're going to leave with them. Okay. EXP, they get their marketing center. You can design any folders you want. When you join, you get free folders, you get free business cards. My team had bought 500 folders before we joined EXP. So we're still using something that we had done up, and we put a sticker on it because it was just a high quality folder that we had a lot of. So you use whatever you want. So what should be in the folder? You want to have a biography of yourself in it, and you want it to be personal too. You want to connect with them on a personal level. Do you have children? Do you have pets? What do you like to do outside of real estate? What is your education background? You want to make a connection. I've had people reach out to me because they read my bio. You want to have a mission statement or a service commitment to the client in there. What are you all about? I'm actually going to share my screen and just run through a few things that I have in my folder. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this listing folder, but I think it's important that you have one in place, okay? And maybe you might get some ideas for what you should put in your folder. So we're only going to be on this for like 3 minutes, but I'm just going to share real quick. Everybody see that?
No.
No? How about now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So just gonna zip through a few things that you might want to think about having in your folder. So like, you know, we have a buyer folder, a seller folder. So first thing is welcome sellers. We got a quick thing about who we are, and thanks for having us to look at your house. Okay. And then we have a bio about all of our team members, who we are, what we do. And then we have our service commitment to them. So EXP has a mission statement, and then me as an agent and our team, we also have a commitment to them. Okay, so it's a good idea to have this in there. Every company has a mission statement. We got a little thing about why can't I do it myself? Why hire a professional? So we hit on bullet points about why they don't want to do it themselves, why they should hire a professional. And we have a marketing plan. Now we go in really in depth in the listing presentation about this, but we want to make sure we leave them with something that they can go back to. This is always changing. This marketing plan, I was just reading it yesterday as I was preparing for this meeting, and I'm like, well, we could really go in here and update this because we're always adding new things and we're deleting things. So we're going to talk about your value add and why it's, you know, what you can do for your marketing plan to make you stand out. We're going to talk about that today. We have a cleaning company, Designed to Clean, and a staging company that we offer a free consultation to the sellers if they list with us. So we leave them with a nice postcard with all their information, and then we have a little write-up about what we offer them. This has been a huge thing for us for getting listings, and we'll discuss this more. We have another stager. We have two that we work with, and it depends on the client on who we recommend. And then we do professional photography. I think most people do nowadays. I highly recommend it. Do aerial photos with drones. We really talk about getting the house ready for the sale for the photos. Then we have our EXP disclosures, whatever we need to have them sign. You know, we're going to have all that in there, the home warranty, affiliated business arrangement, and any other state forms that need to be signed. So that's just a general breakdown of some things that you might want in your listing packet. What's some other things you might want in your packet? Just go ahead and tell me what you guys have in yours. Anybody?
Sometimes I pull comps for the area, and that way it has the financial side of things of how I came up potentially with a number of a range out there. You know, I'm not going in blind of what this house is worth. I've got a number or at least a range until I see conditions, then I can go a little bit closer in.
Sure. Yeah, we're going to talk about getting ready for doing the CMA and leaving that behind. I guess I was thinking, you know, as a seller, if there was anything else that you would think would be valuable to put in the folder that you're leaving behind for them. So let's talk about the initial meeting, preparing for the meeting. You've got a listing appointment coming up. You know how important they are. You're probably a little nervous. So to help you not be nervous, you want to be prepared. All right. So go to the town. Most of it you can do online, most towns. Pull up the tax card. Look at the age of the house. See what the town has for information on the property. Look on your MLS. See if the property was just listed and they pulled it from the market. I've shown up to properties before and I didn't even know it was listed recently. So you want to know that information. So look up to see when it sold last, when it was listed last. Did it expire before? Was it pulled from the market? Look at the registry of deeds. Pull up the deed, see who owns the property, how many names are on it. You want to make sure that you're meeting every owner of the property at your listing appointment. Usually it's 1 to 2 people. So make sure they're both there. Okay, both decision makers are there. Don't rush to get there and just meet one of them. Meet them both. And if it's 3 or 4 or an estate, then that's probably not going to be doable. So, you know, you want to meet the decision maker. Who's the POA? Who's the power of attorney? So you want to really get all your information. And then you want to research who the sellers are. We have all this information at the tip of our fingers. So look at their social media accounts. Find out what they're all about. And try to find out, if you go on Facebook, who are you mutual friends with? You usually have 3 or 4 or more people that you actually are friends with them. And people will trust people that you're mutually friends with. So you could potentially use that to your advantage when you're at the property. If the name comes up, or you could say, hey, I noticed that you're friends with so-and-so. So you want to really build their trust, which we're going to talk about. But if you know you've got some common friends, that can really help out. Look at their LinkedIn, see what they do for a job. Know what political side they're on. You don't want to be on the wrong side of that. Don't talk politics, but that's, people can be pretty strong hearted about that. So so just try to find out what you get common before you go there. And then you want to do your research on the comps, comparables. So we're going to talk about a 1-step approach and a 2-step approach to a listing presentation. No matter whether you're doing a 1-step or a 2-step, you want to do all your research so that you're comfortable when you're there having an idea of what this house is worth. I did a class on CMA, so if you missed it, it's recorded. It's on our Fire page. I did it last year. It's an hour long. It's all about doing a CMA. We're not going to talk about doing a CMA. That's a whole different class. Okay. Assuming you know how to do a CMA, then you're going to come up with your range. Now, I recommend you always do a range. I don't go into a listing without a range. So I want a low range and a high range. So let's say the house is 400,000 is what I want to list it at. And the range is going to be somewhere between 5 and 10% of where I want to list it. So 400,000, I don't want to be, I think your house is worth 350 to 400. That's too big of a range. I want to be more like, I think your house is worth 370 to 400, 375 to 400. And if I think the house is worth 380 and that's what I want to list it at, then I'm going to say, I think your house is worth between 350 and 380. I don't want to go higher than what I'm going to recommend they list it at. And because I want to have wiggle room, if it doesn't sell and I need to get a price reduction, I can go back to the CMA and say, I recommended 380 to 350 and we listed it at 380 and we're not getting the response we want. And we're not getting the feedback that we want. So I think we need to drop it. We shot for the high end and now we got to come down. So it helps get the price down if you don't hit the mark. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So I always try to have a little range and I have where I want to list it at the high end. I'm always want to try to get perceived to the seller. I'm trying to sell their property for the most amount of money I can. And so I want to list at the high end of my range. Because if I come in at 375 to 400 and I recommend a list price of 375, they're probably not going to want to go for that. They're going to want to try a little higher. So if you're doing a 1-step approach, that means that you're going to the listing appointment and you're going in for the sale. You're bringing all your paperwork. So when I go to a listing, I have the packet, I'm leaving the seller. This stays with them when I leave. And then I've got my folder, which has all the listing documents, everything I need to sign the sale that day. Walk out of into my car and celebrate that I've got a listing. I have everything with me. And I take all kinds of notes, which we're going to talk about. So this stays with me. The other folder stays with them. So if you're going to do a one-step approach, you know, you got to go in there with a really good market analysis. It's got to be either done through, there's a lot of programs you can use. I do mine right through the MLS. You can do it through KV Core. There's a couple different options through KV Core. And then you can have your own system. Brett has a handwritten one that he's done for 20 years, and it blows sellers away. It's all handwritten out and it's very detailed, and we all do different things. So you just want to make sure it's detailed and it gives them a lot of information for them to digest. I've gone to listings where the seller's shown me what the previous person that was there did for a CMA, and they literally handed them MLS sheets. So they're like, don't have any data really other than these sales. And they're in different towns. And I mean, it was just, so they didn't really get a good sense that that agent did a lot of research. And that they didn't feel comfortable that they were going to get the price they were being recommended. So I know in some markets, and this is what I love about EXP, is you guys are all in different states, so we all do different things. So I want to be able to have other people share what they do. With a one-step approach, I think you got to plan on being at that property for at least a couple hours. Don't like block an hour off and think you're going to go show a house in an hour. You're there for the sale. Just to fill out the paperwork alone is going to take an hour. You need another hour to build rapport, find out all about them, what their needs are. Actually, Frank did a great class last week called the spin technique. So you want to figure out their situation. What's their situation? Why are you there? Why are they looking to sell? Are they looking to go to Florida for the winter? What's their timing? I mean, you're there for one time to get the sale. You need to make sure that you find out what their situation is. And then you need to figure out what their implied need is. Why do they, you're going to dig deeper basically. Okay. Yeah, the house is too big. Well, why do they want to sell? Is it because financially they want to be able to buy something smaller, cash in on some equity, be able to retire, try to dig a little deeper. And then once you know what their need is, then you've got the prescription. You've got the solution. That's what you do. You're at the listing and you're trying to help them out, figure out what their situation is, what their need is, and how you're going to help it. And if you can do that and build their trust, then they're going to sign with you. Okay, even if your price is off, if they trust you and like you, and they think that you're going to get them to the finish line, you guys can talk about price.
Yep.
So it comes, I do mostly all two-step approaches. So one-step approach for me is, I don't have a lot of experience with it. I've certainly done it. But in Maine, we're a little slower paced. We get to go to the initial appointment, get to meet them, look at the house. And then I say, before I leave, I book in a follow-up appointment with them, come back and give them my market analysis and sit down with them again and go back through everything. So that's typically how I do it. So at my first appointment, I'm able to spend an hour to 2 hours just figuring out what their need is and their situation and their property research, talking about their property. And do they say, hey, what's the price? Every time they're like, well, you must know what the price is. Well, of course I do. I've done my research. I have an idea what the price is. But I just say, I really don't want to talk myself into a corner here. I haven't done all my research yet. It's the first time I've seen your house. I didn't know the condition of it. I didn't know the layout of it. Now I'm going to go back and do my research, and then I'm going to come back later this week, and I'm going to go over all that with you. Does that sound good? They're always like, yeah, that sounds fair. That sounds fair. I don't want to give them a price and then have to be doing my analysis and being like, why did I tell them that price? Oh man, I can't get there. I can't get there. Then I'm going to just disappoint them. So I like the one-step approach where you're in a market where it's just people are so fast paced and they got 5 agents coming over and they want to sign a deal. I get it. But if you're going to do that, then I think without seeing the house, you have to go into your presentation with a range and not have a price written down. Like I would go in there knowing what my range is. And on my analysis, I would have my, I wouldn't have a price. I would go through the whole house with them. I'd find out their needs, their situation. I'd look at their house, and if it blew me away based on what I thought it was going to be, my price is going to be higher. If the condition smells like cigarette smoke, there's a bedroom that you got to walk through a bedroom to get to the other bedroom, then my range is off. I hadn't seen the house, right? And I don't want to just sign a listing that's overpriced and have my sign flapping in the wind and having them call me and complaining all the time. So if I was going to do a one-step approach, I wouldn't go into it with a price typed up or written down. I would write it down when I was there after I'd seen it. That's how I would do it. And any comments on that? Who does a one-step approach? Anybody?
Well, I can do a one-step approach, and I've done it before, but like you, Chris, you sometimes you get a call, and a guy says, I want to sell my house. And you look up the address before you go on the listing appointment. You pull a couple of comps and you look it up on RPR or Remine or some of the other resources that that you have that'll give you a rough idea of what the realistic market value is. And then you go out there and you see that it could be potentially worth let's just say $400,000. But when you get there, it's trashed on the inside and it's going to need some work. And so that's when I have to sit down with the guy and say, okay, I'm ready to sign your listing appointment, but here's some things that you're going to have to do. So which do you want? Do you want me to list it for what it's going to sell for, looking the way it does now? Or do you want me to sell it, or list it for what it could sell for, at this price? It's kind of like the Curbio deal, Do you want to sell it, for what it is or what it could be, right? And then it's up to him to make the choice. So which one it could be. So it's going to need some work. So we can price it the way it looks right now, or we can price it the way it could look. And then we have to, if he says, well, I want to price it, to get the maximum out of it, then I say, okay, well, let's schedule the Curbio, or let's schedule the cleanup, whatever it is, painting, cleaning carpets, picking up, whatever. And then we schedule a later date, right, to come back and look at it. And then I get to get a second set of eyes on it. And then I go, okay, wow, this place looks completely different from when I saw it the last time. And then I go, okay, now let's put this price on it, because, and that gives us both a fair and realistic expectation of what we can do for each other, right? Because I've been out to some places that are like, wow, this is a great house in a great location, but it ain't gonna get maximum value because of how it looks. So which one do you want to do? And I'm just being realistic with you, and that's what I do, with people is you're not going to get what you expect you think you're going to get, and here's the comps. And when I show him the comps, I usually have pictures of those comps that I show them and I say, look, here's the house down the street from you. And it sold for X. Do you think your house looks like this house? Inside and out? And then he or she has to sit there and agree with me. You know, no, my house doesn't look like that. So,
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Photos say 1,000 words. So I
Yeah.
highly recommend in your analysis is that if you're not emailing them a report where they can look at the photos of the comparable properties, that you print some out. You know, so you got to show them the condition. So your point basically makes my point, is that it's really hard to give a really good value on a property looking at it one time and being prepared. Like, you can do it, but you're better off going, seeing it, then going back, finding out their need. What are they willing to do for work? Because then I can really price up the house, right? Are they willing to do some painting and some repairing, or are they wanting to sell it as is? That's really important.
That's correct.
So we're going to keep moving on. So we talked about the 1-step, the 2-step. So strategies for delivering the price. We kind of talked about it. If I'm doing a 2-step, I come in with a range. I have my high range where I want to recommend, where my recommended price is. I have it already typed up and written down, and I'm not afraid at the end of going through my report, because the last thing is the price. So they're like on pins and needles the whole time I'm going through it. They don't know what the price is. I have no problem with asking them, what do you guys think it's worth? It depends on the person, right? Sometimes I don't get the feeling that they're going to want to go along with that, but I like to hear what they think it's going to be worth. My price is already written down. It's not going to be changed. It's already there. So it's good to get their kind of vibe, and then I show them. Or sometimes I'll just deliver the price and then always ask them, what do they think about the price? What did you think? Am I in the ballpark? Is that what you were thinking? And a lot of times they've each written down what they thought it was worth. They think it's a gain. So then we talk about the price. Okay, I got to get the listing. Now I've delivered the price. I've delivered the research. And I want to try to list the property where I came in at the price. I'm the professional. I'm the one that looks at houses every day. I've done the research. But is there going to be some give and take and some conversations with price? Absolutely. Absolutely. The pros to the cons to taking an overpriced listing is it doesn't sell. And then when you drop the price, it's already been on the market for 30 days, 3 weeks, for 60 days, whatever. And now it's stale and everyone's saying, why isn't it sold? What's wrong with it? So now you're going to be selling it for less, most likely less than what you would have been selling it for if you would have priced it right from the start.
In the first place.
So I just had this predicament where it was an affordable house in Maine. I listed it for $249,500. They wanted to list it for $265,000. Not a big deal, $15,000, right? But I'm listing it at where I really want it, based on the cigarette smoke, the work needed to be done, small ranch. And I just said to him, look, I'm not going to lose this listing for $265,000, but I think you're going to do way better at $249,500. Let's try to get multiple offers. So we'll get cleaner offers, maybe with no inspections. We're going to get more activity and have people bid against each other. They agreed to do that. We had 6 offers and we ended up going for $280,000. So it worked, you know, and we had over 30 showings. It was so busy there, and all the feedback kept coming through. Cigarette smoke killed the deal, I actually got a text over the weekend from the seller. We had an offer deadline. She says, are we wasting all our time going through all this? I mean, she's having to stay at her sister's and relatives, I mean, because their house is full every day for 3 days. And I said, no, what do you mean? Like, the deadline's Monday. I'm confident we're gonna get offers, you know, and we did. A lot of times people wait till the last day, try to posture themselves, try to see how many offers there are, and then they make the offers. So I always try to get the price that I want, but obviously I wouldn't have lost it for $265,000. But at $265,000, we wouldn't have got 30 something showings, and we probably wouldn't have got 6 offers because we only had, we had 3 offers over 265. The other 3 wouldn't have offered. So it just helped create more of an urgency and more of a buzz. So let's talk about getting the listing. Your marketing strategy. You got to be a better marketer than the other agents they're interviewing. So what's your value add? Okay, so think about some things that you're doing that you could tell a seller that you're going to do that would separate you from the competition. Okay, professional photography. If you don't have anybody, talk to a colleague in your state, talk to an EXP member, go on the MLS, find photos that you think are just an agent that does great photos, find out who they're using. You absolutely want to pay for professional photography. They'll actually, for the amount of money you spend, they'll save you money by doing the virtual tour, posting it everywhere, naming it. I mean, it's just worth it. And it shows your value that you're invested in them, and it helps them get motivated to get the house ready for the sale. Okay. We offer a stager. Brett, how much is the stager right now? You're on mute.
275.
275. It's gone up over the years. That's why I had to ask. Our thing says 250. We got to change that, Brett. Inflation. But so we spend 275, but we got to get a commitment from them that they're going to list with us. Okay. And then we get them to come in. We have 2 that we work with, and they do a room by room report of what they should do to get the house ready for the photos. They're using their own furniture. Sometimes they'll bring in something, but they're just using their furniture. They're rearranging it. They're decluttering. They're recommending painting some rooms if it's really bad. And it doesn't come across that I'm being negative by me telling them all this. If I'm telling them, oh, I don't really like the way this is set up, I think you should move this, you should move this, I don't like that pink bedroom, I come across as negative. But if a professional stager is telling them, then they take it to, they don't take it to heart. Okay. And it makes it gives them a good value to hire me because I'm paying for that. And then also if they want help with like cleaning, some people are so overwhelmed with getting the house ready. I don't pay for the cleaning, but they're there and they'll say, hey, I'll do this, this, and this for this amount of money. And it takes a load off of their shoulders, and it gives me value that I'm going to be able to help them navigate through those challenges. Okay. So I would recommend you try to hook up with a stager. And it's worth a lot of value. Some other things we talk about is, where are you marketing the property? Are you doing any print advertising? I know that's a dinosaur. We don't do very much. We do just enough to satisfy sellers. There's still some old school sellers that want to see their house in the newspaper. So we do once a month, we advertise in the newspaper. If we do an open house, we advertise in the newspaper. There's an open house section. You really want to focus on internet. That's where everybody's at. Zillow. What are you doing on Zillow? I recommend that you have a premier membership with Zillow, and that you start getting testimonials. Anybody that buys or sells with you, send them a review. Get a lot of leads through Zillow. They read our reviews. Realtor.com, same thing. All of our virtual tours that are made by our photographer, they get posted to Zillow and Realtor.com, and we let them know that. And then when we do a weekly update, we tell them that they're going to hear from us every single week. Every Friday, whether there's nothing to tell them or not, we're going to just check in with them, and we're going to let them know how many showings we had. We're going to reiterate on what the feedback was. We're going to let them know what we're doing going into the weekend. Usually like a Facebook boost we're doing, like we're going to boost their property listing. We just want to keep them excited, even though they're probably down that their house didn't sell that week. But it's pretty important for them to know that they're going to hear from us every week. Do you go to the showings? Some sellers will hire you if you're at every showing. I don't go to every showing. That would lose me money. If I had to be at showings, I wouldn't be on here right now. I can't offer that, but I'll tell you some other agents that do offer that, they get listings because of it. The seller likes to know that they're going to be there to tell them about every little thing about the property, that their personal belongings are going to be watched over. So that's something to think about. If you've got the time, throw an open house, tell them you're going to do an open house. Some sellers like open houses. You need to dig and find out if that's important to them. Some think just nosy neighbors are going to come over. So, you have to kind of figure that out. What's some things that you guys offer as a value add to hire you that I haven't mentioned? Is my mic live?
Don't make
All
don't make Chris call on you. He will.
If I had any listings to
Okay.
date, I would be happy to share, but I've only had the one and it's pretty much sold itself. So I have nothing to share with marketing ideas.
Gotcha.
I do 3D photos.
3D photos.
Yeah,
Nice.
I have one of those Astor Room cameras. It was really inexpensive. It was like $150. And some number of tours are available with that fee. And it's so easy to do. You get a special lens for your camera and a case so that the lens can attach to it. It's so simple, and they just think it's the bomb, but it's just something really inexpensive you can do, and you don't have to pay Matterport. There's a way to do floor plans, but I haven't figured that out yet. But just the 3D photos themselves they get excited about that.
I think that's a great idea. That's something actually I was going to mention. Is Matterport or anything like that does the 3D? What I really like about that is the room dimensions. I mean, buyers really, they love having all the room dimensions, and that with Matterport specifically, you can measure from here to there, and you can look at all that stuff. So that's a good idea too. We don't use Matterport, but I think it would be a good value add for some listings.
One little
Right,
caveat,
so-
you guys, one little caveat on room dimensions is a lot of buyers don't have a sense of how big a room is. If they read a room size that they think is too small, it could turn them off from visiting the property. So I used to put all the room dimensions on all our listings when I first started, and I think it actually and technology's come a long way. So with Matterport and things that are 3D, I think it's probably more beneficial than not. But just be careful if you've got a small house to start with, that people they don't get the size, they feel like it might be too small, and then avoid showing it or seeing it, which could be a mistake for the seller.
Good point, Brett. All right, so we're
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I was going to say rooms always look smaller when they're empty. So that's why staging is really important. Even virtual staging, can help with that as far as the room dimensions go.
Good point. All right, so we only got 15 minutes left. So I'm going to talk about getting price reductions if we have time at the end. But I wanted to just throw out there to anybody, what's some objections that you've heard? What's some objections that you want to throw at me at a listing? I mean, fire away, and I'll let you know how I would handle it.
Well, I'm going to talk to some other agents first.
Okay, yeah, I don't blame you. It's a big decision to make. How many have you met with already?
I've just met with you so far.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, I understand it's a big decision, but I've been selling real estate a long time and I've done my thorough research on the property, or I'm going to do my thorough research on the property. I think that once you see my marketing plan and all the research that I'm going to do to come up with a price for your house, I think that you'll probably feel comfortable listing with me. So I'll agree with them, but then I'll rebuttal that I'm experienced. I'm going to do a lot of research. And people's time, they might say they're going to meet with 3 or 5 people. If you can blow them away, don't let that deter you. If you blow them away at that first meeting, they're not going to want to set up 2 more meetings and go through another hour or 2 with 2 other agents. Okay. So if you told me I'm the first one, I'm actually pretty excited about that.
Are you willing to reduce your commission?
Good one.
Never heard that one.
Well, so, you know, I appreciate you asking that. I actually am giving you a little bit of a reduced commission based on the price point we're at. I always say that usually. So I'm doing 6%. If I don't have to pay another agent, like if I procure the buyer, then I could do 5%. How does that sound?
Yeah.
My neighbor just sold at 750. I've been in his house a couple times. Mine's way better. I need 900.
Yeah, I actually looked at yours as a comp. And I'm going to do some more research on it. Have you been in that house?
Yeah, mine is definitely nicer. I'm telling you, it's way nicer.
Okay. That one is where I'd have to kind of look at the house and be prepared to why I'm not as high as theirs, because obviously I would use it as a comp. I always look at the same neighborhood. But if I had looked at it, I mean, I would, and I wasn't at the same price point, I would have to point out what it was about the property that I didn't see, that I saw in the other one that made this one better. I have a house for sale right now in Freeport, and the house next door sold. They're both on the water. One sold for 2.125 million. The one I have listed is 1.649 million. It's $600,000 less, 525,000 less. Well, I was able to tell them why. Well, we need to be lower because this house was 1,500 square feet larger. It had higher finish levels. The kitchens was renovated. The bathrooms had higher end trim. Yours has been rented as a VRBO for the last 10 years, so it needs some updating. Also, that one had a dock and yours doesn't. I think we're a good value where we're at, but it's not anywhere close to 2 million.
Cool.
So just be prepared for why you're not at that price.
I would also say, Rick, it's a really good, it's a tough objection to handle sometimes, but and you can make a little bit of light of it and say, geez, you know, I'm in a lot of houses and every seller thinks they have the best house, and you probably do, you know, and I love your house, I really do. But I'm not going to arm wrestle for it right now, but let me do my research. Let's break down the detail. When I come back, I'll be really prepared to show you, and we'll compare apples to apples at that point. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that's good advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a listing a long time ago that he wanted to list it, like he thought he was 100,000 above everybody else. And I didn't really know how to handle that at the time. And I asked my broker, and she started laughing. She was like, just have a sense of humor and say, why don't we just list it for $1 million? I mean, we might as well if we're going to list it for $599, you know? And so I did that, and he kind of laughed. And so I kind of brought him down. But sometimes you just have to have a sense of humor about it.
It's right, Kathy. You guys really, I mean, this is serious business for sure. But if you know you're with somebody that, and you can tell right away if they've got any amount of sense of humor, then use that to your advantage. Really, you know, even some of your body language and emotions, you know, when they say that and you go, and then you smile and you go, ooh, all right. So you're challenging me here. So this is going to be a big challenge. You know, just try to have a little bit of fun with it. If they happen to name a broker that's a big time broker in your area, which they sometimes do, because they like to throw out, you know, that, oh, so-and-so is going to come over. Just be prepared for that when you come back. And really, for some of you new agents, My objection to that, my technique to that objection was always, okay, so I'm the new kid on the block. I'm the new broker. I don't have as much experience as the person you just mentioned, but really, do they have time enough for you? I'm going to dedicate and give you 100% of all my efforts. Can that other agent do that? Can they really pour themselves into you? And are they going to be top on your list? And it just gets people thinking about, wow, that's true. This agent sells 100 homes a year. I have one that's new or up and comer. They've got 5 listed, or whatever you guys have. Pull out all the stops, but just get into them and just make sure that they know how much passion you have in helping them. This other broker could breeze in, think they're going to get it, breeze out because of all their experience, and you could blow them away and actually snag it. And then once you sell it, you can use that to your advantage and go get the next one.
Good point, Brett. Yeah, I figured someone might throw that one at me. What do I do if I'm a new agent? How do I, that's a perfect rebuttal. If you're an experienced agent, you use that to your advantage. You've sold a lot of houses. You've sold this house on this street, this street. If you're new and you haven't sold a lot of homes, then you express to them that you've got the time for them. You're going to be their number one priority. You're going to be talking with them weekly. You're not going to be talking to some team member, right? You make it about them and you and how important they're going to be to you. Okay, so there's always another way to look at it. How about, geez, well, Christmas is coming. Is it a good time to sell?
Mhm.
I mean, that's coming, right? It's coming. So it's always a good time to sell. It's a great time to sell in the winter because you have less competition. You have less homes on the market. So you're not competing with a lot of other properties. Your house shows really well. It's going to be nicely decorated usually. It's going to be festive. It's going to be nice and warm when they come in. They're going to want to get out of the cold. I really think that wintertime is a great time to sell. You don't want to be a Debbie Downer about it, right? It's like, it's terrible. Like, let's take a break, that's what they want you to say.
Yeah.
But
Right. And right, Chris, and although the action may be a little bit less, just reinforce them that anybody that's coming through your house, you guys, during the holidays is because they have to buy. They're not out there kicking tires. If brokers are schlepping around buyers at Christmas time or Christmas week, then do whatever you can to get them in. They're not doing it for fun. There's your best opportunity right there to secure the highest and best offering. And that advice, you're really doing a service to your clients by saying, guys, all right, so we're not going to have 10 showings this week. We're going to have 3, but I can guarantee you those 3 are going to be well worth your time. And we may even get, the offer from one of those. So it's a good point, Chris.
And
Chris, what did they?
another point to bring up for new agents is that if you are a new agent and your client is questioning you about it, the wealth of knowledge that's available to you within this EXP community is a point to bring up, is that I may be a new agent, but I have a team that I can rely on of knowledge and expertise that I can call on anytime to help me with any issue. And that's what's so valuable to an EXP new agent. Because just like we're doing on this call right here with Chris and everybody, Brett, everybody, that's a key point that new agents can use to their advantage, and that's something you should definitely let your clients know.
Tell
Awesome.
them you're on a team. You have a team to support you. Absolutely.
Huge team. Hey, Chris, I got one for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to sign up my property.
You don't want to sign on your property? Oh, well, that's really a key component to selling your house. Why don't you want it?
I just don't want all my neighbors to know that I'm selling. I don't want to broadcast it in the neighborhood.
Okay. I can understand you'd want your privacy, but this is going to go on the MLS and it's going to be on hundreds and thousands of websites. It's going to be public knowledge. So even though your sign's not up, people are going to know. And I'd really like to have people driving by that aren't in the market necessarily. They're not looking on these websites, but then they see your house and they got a family member or a friend from out of state that's been looking to move to the area. I don't want to miss that opportunity.
Great. Wow. That's
And-
so you guys
Yeah.
enhance on, Chris, that's absolutely, you guys get your sign on the property. I don't care what you have to do, but don't leave there. Don't leave a listing without having your sign on the property. And Chris nailed it on the head. The people that live in the neighborhood are going to be the first people to tell others, buyers, why they love living in that neighborhood so much. They're your best word of mouth as soon as that sign goes up.
All right.
The other thing is, you know, when your sign marks, we've all driven around and see 2 or 3 or 4 realtor signs, all the same sign hanging in the subdivision. If your sign never goes up and those neighbors don't see yours, they're not passing your sign 2 or 3 or 4 times a day, then it's a huge disservice to yourself. You absolutely missed the boat. We have to have our signs up, you guys. Don't take no for an answer on the sign thing. We want to sometimes, somebody says that to me, I go, oh, I said, we want the whole world to know, you guys. You're just telling me you're putting your house for sale. I'm going to put it on sale. We want everybody in the whole world. Don't you want you're asking me to get you your best price, the most amount of showings of people, your most ready, willing, able buyer, then let me do my job. Let me expose it everywhere and anywhere I can. We need this place to be a madhouse. So it actually benefits you guys way more than it benefits them in today's day and age because of our reach and social media. The other thing it really does, that's really professional when we show homes, when a sign marks a property and you're either traveling with or your clients are following you, finding that sign, locating with your eye, when you pull up to it, rather than guessing, driving back and forth, it's a really professional thing to do, to have that sign mark the property for sale. And it benefits other brokers, all of our agents that we work with. It's a really nice thing to see. And it's professional. So
It's a lead
Good stuff.
listing generator as well.
right, Grady, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point, good point. I'll leave you with one last one, and then maybe if you got one other one, but this one's the toughest one for me, and so I'd like to hear what you guys say. Oh, a good friend of mine's a real estate agent, so I'm gonna list with them. Or my cousin is a real estate agent, so I'm gonna list with them. I really appreciate all of your work you've done. I think you do a great job, but I'm gonna list with my cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best way to break up a friend or family is to do business with your friend or family.
Right.
It's a tough one for me because I mean, it's like I want my friends and family to list with me. So what I say is, I totally get it. I appreciate your loyalty. I've sold a lot of properties for my friends and family, but they don't all list with me. And I totally get that too, because sometimes they want to keep it private. They don't want to mix business with pleasure and they want to just have their privacy. So I appreciate that too. So whatever you choose to do is fine, but just weigh both options. And I don't get them all. So
Yeah.
that's what I say. I don't say.
I like it.
And you guys, and I think, to add on to that, this is really the approach to the runway and how you present this, but and I understand too that your cousin, is active and selling, but is she really going to be the best person for the job? This is going to be probably the biggest, sale of your life. We're listing one in Portland where next week, where she's got the sellers have a cousin, just a first cousin, that they decided not to list with, and I'm sure it's going to bum her out. And they're going to list with us, but really, I had to say is, are you making your best decision? I understand it's family, but this is a huge deal, you guys. And I have the benefit of using some of my experience. But I think that goes back to how do you connect? And even if you're a newer agent, then your passion for it really I don't think that I would say anything to the effect that you shouldn't list with your friend or your cousin or anything like that. I would take the high road on that. But I would get out there and just say, I appreciate it. I just want to make sure that you've got the best person for the job. And I feel like I'm that person. So leave them with that. And sometimes they come around. You know, sometimes they try it and it doesn't work and you get the call down the road. I love picking up expired listings, you guys. It's the easiest game in the world. You know, they've already been through all the pain. You come in and you're the hero. You come in and I hate to be the one that said I told you so, but man, does it get easy when you pick up expired listings, especially if you were in the game to begin with. So that's why you never want to write them off either. You never want to burn that bridge. You want to make sure that you leave, even if they decide not to use you, on a really good positive note, because it could come back around to you. And I've had people that didn't use me that I've got a call from one of their friends that said, geez, you know, we didn't use Brett and Chris and their team, but I can tell you right now, we should have. So if I'm going to recommend anybody, I'm going to recommend those guys. They were on it. So just keep all that in mind. Keep it as positive as possible. It's a tough situation for sure. It hurts like mad when we lose stuff to people that we expect to get. It's happened. It doesn't happen so much anymore. But try and walk away with the positives from it. Move on.
All right, well, it's 11 o'clock. Is there any last pressing thing anybody wants to ask before we go kick some butt today? No?
Good call.
Hey, great seeing everybody. Fire it up
Thank you.
Friday
Thanks
tomorrow.
for the info.
That's right.
Fire
Yes,
it
this
up.
is
Chris.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Fire it up. All right.
Awesome job,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Have a great day.
See ya.
Thank you.
See everyone.